Tuesday, August 14th, 2018. It's warm outside and it's smoky. Let the record show that everybody is here and happy and probably glad to be inside where it's air conditioned.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Council members, you have minutes of the July 14th meeting, July 24th meeting in your packet. Do they meet with your approval? Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. In a matter of personal privilege, I'm going to grant Councilor Gaffney, Martin Willis, a moment.
So I would just like to extend my thanks to my friends, my colleagues, my fellow council people, city staff for their wonderful love and support and the beautiful basket that they sent today in condolence in the passing of my father. It was greatly appreciated, and you guys are amazing and wonderful. Thank you.
Least we can do. Least we can do. Thank you very much. Visitor comments? I see no one approaching. Thank you very much. Reports and presentations. You have in front of you, council members, you have the document that it is going out as we begin the search for our city manager. You all have that. I just wanted to thank you for those of you who had edits. Thought it worked out really well. I'm pleased with the product, and I look forward to. I know people are looking forward to following up on this. So that's all I have at the moment. And moving promptly forward, Mr. Klein, I think it's you for the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council, thank you. Just follow up on that recruitment flyer that is also posted to our website, and it will be going through all the various promotional listings. Probably already started. I know it's already started, so that's out there. One other thing you have in front of you is a tort claim. There was a question about that. The only information I have beyond what's in that tort claim notice is that it has gone to the insurance. So we are one of the number of parties that was named in that tort notice, which is frankly not terribly unusual. But since you asked about it, I thought I'd give you a copy of that.
Thank you.
A number of other different things. One of the biggest news of the day, and I just found it out for sure, we were awarded a grant to do the transportation system plan update through ODOT. So that is, I believe, $120,000 grant award. So we are going to be meeting with their staff shortly to start working out the scope of work and identifying contractors for that work. That is actually work, I believe, that is done by the state with us as a partner.
Yeah, they have a kind of a list of preferred contractors and consultants that we'll work with.
They manage that work, I believe.
Yeah.
And this is the traffic management plan?
This is the transportation system plan. So this is to take a look at all the road systems throughout the city, do the traffic counts, look where we need to make improvements, where we need to add into the system, where there are jams within the system, follow up to the work that we've done on the landing, see what needs to be done downtown in terms of future improvements, that kind of work.
Great.
It's a big project. We didn't get the award last year. We were very hopeful that we get it this year. We did, so it needs to get done, and it'll create another roadway to the future, if you will, map to the future. So anyway, that was great news. We had the opportunity to sit down with somebody that has an interest in becoming a vendor of kayaking and floating devices in our park this coming summer. So we're looking forward to sort of kicking that off in a trial capacity, see how that works. That would be kind of fun. We've been hoping that we'd have somebody come by that would have the the ingenuity to do that kind of project. So that hopefully will be coming. The chief and I and a whole lot of other folks that are largely criminal justice experts spent the last 2 days, or a good portion of the last 2 days, in a criminal justice mapping system project brought by the National Institute of Corrections. It was really an interesting piece of work. For me, it was kind of closes the circle on a career, because I actually started my career doing something similar in Maricopa County, Arizona. But it's a big look at what we do in our system from the point of where law enforcement presence gets felt by somebody with bad behavior, to throughout the system, probation, district attorney's office, the courts, and so forth, and just looking at what all the things are and mapping out the system, where the weaknesses might be, where the strengths might be. I was constantly taken by all the various opportunities there are to improve behavior without, resorting to punishment, the last resort to punishment before you get there. I think we have a pretty robust system of dealing with offenders in a way that is fairly humane. So that was good to see. So anyway, let's see, homelessness task force, that continues. I did have an opportunity to sit down these past couple of weeks with some representatives from the county. The county has not been at the table for this, and I met first with Brent DeMoe from a staff member of the county, and he's just doing amazing things with the county in the area of homelessness, and it was pretty clear to me that putting him on a task force would be not his best time spent. Typically, it's a task force that, mostly county commissioners and elected officials, wasn't really his first staff person, but he did lead me to have a meeting with Commissioner Ainsworth, who has an interest, and he's going to explore that and see whether he wants to do that. I'm perfectly happy to, give him the independent seat, because this really is a county effort more than it is a city effort. I mean, our contact with the homeless is largely on the law enforcement end. The county is intervening on all ends of this problem, and so they need to really be at the table when it comes to the conversation about the resources. So Mike's given that a lot of thought. I know he's a busy guy, so he would add to his schedule. But anyway, that's ongoing. With staff, we're working with our hotel development crew to continue to work with them to put together the League of Cities trade booth for the League of Cities annual conference coming up this September. So again, if you're not signed up for that, is there still time, Karen? Are we done?
I think it might be 10, but check with me if you're interested. I think I might be able to get you in.
Okay, so it's a great conference, and I think it's going to be one of the better ones with new leadership, good training opportunities. So if you have a chance to get away for a couple of days, that would be, I think, time well spent. At any rate, we're going to put a booth in there, hopefully as close to the food as possible, so people will see us and try to get some exposure for the city and what we've been doing over the years. We have scheduled a meeting with our web designer. We're going to take a look at revamping our website, get it, modernize it. It gets a lot of hits, but it's some of us are believing it's a little stale and cumbersome. So we're looking to see if there's ways to streamline it and make it more useful to the public. Websites are becoming less and less an important part of social media and messaging. But nonetheless, we need it for a whole lot of reasons, a whole host of reasons. So looking to see what we can do there. I've had opportunity to meet with the museum board again. I met with them in retreat last month, met with them in a follow-up session this month, talking about how they're doing on becoming a policy board as opposed to the advisory board, as opposed to an operational board. We will be coming back to you next month with a proposed ordinance that will implement some changes that would effectuate that change for them. I think they're anxious, they're moving along in that direction. I think they're happy to be doing that. We'll probably be doing some reorganization as well at a staff level to help facilitate that change. So those changes will make internally, not the least of which will probably be the designation of a museum manager using existing resource, or largely existing resource. Might be a slight impact on the budget, but Lori's got it covered. She's fine. Anyway, that's going on. The plan now is by the end of the month, August, to close on the properties on Independence Landing with Tokala properties. So that closing will be all of the lots 1 through 4. That's the half of the lots that are on the riverside of the roadway, Osprey Lane. So that's scheduled for the end of the month. We're just going through all the total closing documents and printing all those now. In the area of water, should come as no surprise with this hot, dry summer. We've had a whole host of problems, and unfortunately, lately we lost a groundwater well due to some mechanical failure. So we've taken measures to get that repaired. But in the meantime, we've had to rely more heavily on the other existing well system that we have in place. We have asked for help from some of the bigger water consumers, the school district, ourselves, others, to look at any potential things that they could do to help lower the demand. You may not notice this, but there's probably a 2-pound pressure drop in the water system that helps to relieve some of the quantity of water that goes through. So if your showers aren't quite as stinging hard as they used to be, our fault, enjoy the nice softer approach to it. Meantime, we are hopeful that the public at large, well, we're not asking for anything in particular at this time, which is hope the public at large takes whatever conservation measures they can. You know, maybe not water the grass so often, not let it brown in the Oregon way. You know, and other things that you can do to just reduce that water consumption. We hope the public are there with us to get that done. But not a great threat at the moment. We'll get back to it if and when it becomes one. Let's see, we have finished the last section of the path that we're doing this year in Mount Fur Park Inspiration Garden. So if you haven't been out there, I was just out there. It looks amazing. We're out to the Education Center with our pathway. We have the parking lot in and striped. The path between F and G is in. It's a wonderful, wonderful park. And obviously, thanks to Master Gardeners yet again for the amazing work they did out there. Public Works is following up, and Kai is following up with the county on trying to do some improvements at Hoffman and Gun Club. The county has agreed to partner with us on doing some things out there, so looking at joint grant opportunities. There's a host of problems out there we'd like to address, not the least of which are pedestrian pathway, but also just traffic conflicts and movement. So hoping to get some solutions there and get a grant to help us with that. In the area of innovation and economic development, we are hosting a workshop Friday with OSU to explore applying data science for public good in rural communities. We're going to identify pilot projects we might be able to work on in Independence. Gearing up for our Airstream rally in September, also the Hoffman Heritage Block Park, and regional TAC, Polk County tourism promotion. So several things in the area of tourism that we're working on. And a successful farm to fork traffic tracking project with Intel, tracing blueberry crop, monitoring environmental conditions, and planning follow-up projects as we sit here. Let's see, in land use, the Liberty Place subdivision, that's the subdivision south of Sunset Park, Sunset Meadows, 8 extensions of 8th and 9th. To the south, the first phase has been accepted and completed. It is in for final platting. The 33 lots will begin work soon. The building department has completed review of 7 building permits. That by itself is $105,000 in STC, so we're anxious to get those out the door and get those folks going and collect those checks, help those capital funds. We are busy with the Gun Club Road subdivision. That too is building at a pretty fast pace, and I think there's at least a dozen permits already out on that site. Planning Commission approved a 4-unit multifamily project by the Polk CDC for homeless veterans on 9th Street. So those building plans are currently being reviewed and moving fairly quickly, and we're very happy to get that project going. Last night, the Planning Commission met and approved a 5-lot subdivision on the lots just immediately south of Dollar General. So we'll be squeezing something in there. So that'll be nice, and I'll continue to fill in those gaps in our community. The intent there is to build 10 duplex homes on that site. You'll be happy to hear this. The city approved a new marijuana retail use in the Far North Maine. The reason the chair. The project entails a conversion of 800 square feet of an existing marijuana processing facility to retail use. So there's already a facility there that should be added a retail component. And then finally, our staff has met with Aaron Young and his realty group to plan the site design, to begin the anticipate pre-application for the site design review for Lot A, Osprey Point, right adjacent to the road. So that we expect that, the site design review to be within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think the planning team is first-class planning team, so we're happy to be working with them. And so that, we're looking forward to that project getting up and going here in the next, they want to break ground in October, and that's entirely possible, so. That's my report for the evening so far. Questions?
Questions for the manager?
I do.
Please.
So regarding you said that the Sunset Meadows continuation had been approved. Was that the area where some adjacent homeowners had concerns regarding the swale?
It was. I have had a follow-up conversation with them. And I don't know if they're entirely satisfied with that conversation. I think they understand the issues a little better and how that's being addressed. I don't have the details of what the solution to the problems are, but everything there has been engineered to meet standards and public works requirements for detention, retention, and release of stormwater. Okay, so I know their concerns.
Right.
And,
I was at a door and had that conversation.
yeah, I don't mean to be insulting, but I think, not to you, but I don't mean to be insulting, but there are a lot of folks moving from drier parts of the country, i.e. Southern California, that aren't used to, rain environment, wetter environments, and how that can work here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you go back to the Innovative and Economic Development Project? I missed part of the words on that. It was right after Public Works Improvement on Hoffman and Gun Club, and right before land use on Liberty Place. Yes, the OSU one.
The farm before, the OSU one. Okay, so rather than reading it, I will let Sean explain that one.
Okay.
So that's, OSU is interested in how they can go into rural communities and apply data science to solve rural community problems. They think that there's an opportunity to use their extension service to create a replicable model where they can use extension to go into a community, work with the community to identify, challenges that can be housing and homelessness, or it could be we need to figure out who's where in the community, or anything that can be potentially tackled with data science, and then figure out how they can use OSU's resources to apply data science to basically solve those problems with the community. So we're going to be a guinea pig for that.
Sounds like a good deal.
And being close doesn't hurt.
Yes.
And innovative and creative, our reputation precedes it.
Exactly.
There you go. Additional questions? Thank you very much. Mr. Kistler, I think you get to be the next person with us this evening. It's so amazing. He's so much happier when he gets a full night's sleep.
Right? It's amazing what even
The little guy's a couple months old, but I heard he had a full night recently.
See, there's no bags. All right, so I wanted to give you a quick update on IndyWorks and how it's been performing in the last fiscal year. So right in front of you right now is a heat map of where all the requests for service have been throughout the city. Basically, the more towards red that you get, that's a higher density of requests. So basically, this just really shows you that people from all over the city are using it. So we're hitting all the corners in the area. Just some other kind of general information. The app was downloaded more than 2,500 times during the last fiscal year. So that's quite a few out of a community of 10,000. 210 requests for service were submitted in fiscal year end 2018. If you go to the next one here. Okay, so there's requests by department. Compared to last year, the number of requests for each department has more than doubled. So there's a lot more use going on there. Primarily, the administrative department in cooperation with the police department gets the bulk. That's mainly during the summer months for tall grass, vegetation, stuff like that. Let's see if you want to go to the next one here.
What's Wisetown?
Wisetown was actually, we integrated IndyWorks into the virtual situation room during the 4th of July event.
Right.
And so any issues that were created that were also then
Registered by
integrated.
IndyWorks, they had
Yeah,
access.
yep. So this shows the performance of each service request that we're doing. So for each item, we set what we call a service level agreement. So let's say you ask a general question of the city, we say that you should get an answer within 3 days, for instance, accounting for a weekend. Or if it's a pothole, you know, you get up to 30 days that you're expected to actually complete that. So this kind of shows you the green is requests that were completed on time. Red kind of shows you where we took longer than we should have on those events. So I think this really shows that we've really stepped up to the plate to make sure and get things done on time when requests are submitted. Compared to last year, we were only meeting those goals about half of the time, and now you can see we're pretty much meeting them all of the time. That's pretty much it for the Indie Works update. I did want to mention one other thing that at least I think is pretty important. At the Central High School Council meeting, we polled the students on how they prefer to communicate, and overwhelmingly it was text messages. So for the last month and a half, we've been piloting a program where we can text our main number and directly communicate with staff. So that's been going very well. Obviously not only for students, but it also helps hard of hearing or deaf people as well. And we've received nothing but good feedback. So I encourage you to give it a try, and anyone out there listening, feel free to text us. So, any questions?
Yes.
Please. Go ahead.
I want you to know that this weekend, I read every single one of the requests to IndieWorks.
Yeah.
It was exhilarating.
I like the ones with pictures, it's really helpful.
One thing I was very surprised to see, though, I thought this was for the community to send feedback, and I noticed that a high percentage was from staff people doing IndieWorks. Can't you just walk down the hall and tell somebody?
So the reason that staff will enter them as well is because it tracks it. So if staff sees something, it will automatically go to code enforcement, but that also keeps the timer on. Okay, this has been noticed by somebody, we're working on it. If it goes overdue, the department head is alerted, the city manager is alerted, so it's really a way to track.
I understand that, it just kind of inflates the numbers as far as what comes in from the community itself.
Sure, you can break down the report. if you'd like.
Okay.
Marilyn? Some of those are actually generated from phone calls to City Hall.
That's correct.
And they're entered into the IndieWorks on
Okay.
behalf of the residents.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
I would add, yeah, I understand the concern that does look like it inflates the numbers, but that's really not the point of the product. It really is a workflow management project for us, and so I would like to see everything reduced into one simple system. IndieWorks is as good as any, so that we can track it. We can track workflow, we can track project completion, and there's there's accountability. And so it doesn't really matter to me what the numbers are so much as the fact that the work is getting done in a timely sort of way, and then I can look back and see who was responsible for seeing that work was done.
I think Kai brings up a really good point. IndieWorks isn't just the mobile app on the phone. I mean, you can call into City Hall and Giselle or Jennifer, or whoever answers the front desk, can also enter it for you. You can also go to our website and fill it out. So it's not just the app, it's really one-stop shop.
Additional questions? Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it. This is helpful. Sergeant, I think you get to carry the Independence Day after action report. Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I think you have all had a chance to look through the report, but I did want to, I believe I fell short a little in emphasizing just how beneficial it was to have the addition of private security on hand this year for the planning process and for the event as a whole. Whether it was their presence in the park or their traffic control duties that they took on, that portion that they took on this year, it really freed our officers up to monitor the crowds at the gates and to be free and available to respond as necessary. So, and I'm sure there were other factors at play in the safety success that we had, that I believe we had. But I do believe that the private security was a huge one, was a big one. So in that, I'd like to see us continue to move in that direction and increasing the ratio of private security to police officers for the future. Do you folks have any questions?
Questions for, because we all have a report in our, an extensive report. Thank you very much.
And I read that too, all the way through.
Nicely.
Thank you very much. And if you want to continue with the, is there anything that needs to be done other than in the Independence Police Department report? We just have the written report in our pack. Is there anything that needs to be spoken about? Chief is shaking his head.
That's
no.
just informational.
Just informational.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All
But
right.
that picture of the pile of money was sure impressive.
Did you like that one?
That was not for me, I don't know where that
Thank you very much, appreciate it. I'm going to, Lori Butch has the finance report in there, there's a staff memo. If you have, does anybody have questions? It's pretty straightforward, I thought. And departments are doing well, they stayed on budget or in many cases under budget. And I was, that shows good appropriate tight control.
And I appreciate that also. I will reiterate what I have said several times. I'd really like a list of the interfund, or the interfund transfers. What is going where? Because what it just says is transfer in and transfer out. It doesn't specify location of the transfer out.
I should see her scribbling, so that's, I'm sure she'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
While she's prepared to follow up on that, there is a schedule in the back of our budget that's adopted every year, which shows what I think you just asked for, where it comes from and where it goes.
It does show that, yes, but it is very hard to take this report and try to compare it against the budget and see what went where when, because they're all cumulative figures.
I can do that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Good. Okay, we're going to continue moving forward. We have a public hearing scheduled, and so I think our planner gets to come up, and I think I get to read the first part of this. Is this my part, Karen? Thank you.
Yellow, yes.
Yes, thank you very much. The public hearing before the Independent City Council is now open for application AXZC 012018, Julie Leggs applicant. Do any councilors need to disclose any conflicts of interest, biases, ex parte contacts, or site visits? Everybody okay? Do we have any? Okay, Oregon land use law requires several items to be read into the record at the beginning of each and every public hearing. I now turn it to staff to do your part.
Read that thing.
As we have some areas open, go ahead.
They're required by state law to read this. The applicable substantive criteria upon which the case will be decided are found in the Independence Comprehensive Plan and Development Code, subchapter 12. These criteria are addressed in the staff report and will be read and summarized by staff during the presentation of the staff report. All testimony, arguments, and evidence presented must be directed toward these criteria or other criteria in the Independence Comprehensive Plan or Independence Municipal Code, which the speaker believes to apply to the decisions. The failure of anyone to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the council and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue will preclude appeal to the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. An issue which may be the basis for an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals shall be raised not later than the close of the record at or following the final evidentiary hearing on the proposal before the city. Such issues shall be raised and accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the council and the parties an adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. The failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow this council to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court.
Thank you very much for reading that. Now it's your staff report, Shay.
So a real brief staff report, again, as the mayor mentioned, it's a proposal to annex an approximately 1 acre parcel of land located at 6309 Corvallis Road. The planning file is AX-ZC 01-2018. It's a type 3 annexation and zone change. In Independence, a consolidated annexation and zone change bypasses review by the Planning Commission and goes straight to the City Council for a decision. I want to quickly go over the applicant's request, show you where the site is, show you specifically what we're looking to do. Talk really briefly about the criteria that apply to this decision. Those criteria are outlined in your report, and then respond to any questions that you may have. Again, the applicant is proposing annexation of approximately 1 acre at 6309 Corvallis Road into the city of Independence. The map on the screen in front of you shows the location of the parcel. It's the parcel in white with the address label on it. It's about a quarter of a mile just south of the River Road Bridge located between River Road. It's currently in Polk County in the city's urban growth boundary zone, suburban residential. Again, it's in the urban growth boundary. It's in that little red circle there that is turned on. Quickly zooming in, just to give you an overview of kind of what's around it. That pink area that's immediately surrounding the property, that's all of the city's urban growth boundary. As a reminder, the urban growth boundary is that area outside of the city limits of Independence that the city has designated as kind of the next phase of land that is appropriate to annex into the city to accommodate its future growth needs. The land immediately to the west and south of the property is in the city. It's zoned low density residential. That's all that yellow property shown on the map. That black dash line shows the existing city limits. So what this application seeks to do is basically move that line and that zoning district to encompass that property and basically do what's shown on your screen. So just apply that low density residential zoning, expand the city limits to encompass the property, and it's pretty much as simple as that. As I mentioned in this initial statement, the applicable criteria are in Chapter 12 of the Independence Development Code and the comprehensive plan. Those are outlined in detail in the staff report. I think I'll just touch on a couple of the big things. As far as an annexation is concerned, really we're looking at consistency with the comprehensive plan, the transportation system plan, and then whether or not there's a public need for this annexation. So by virtue of the fact that the property is in the city's urban growth boundary, it's clear the city has designated this property as desirable to include in the city. It will help the city achieve its growth objectives, and therefore staff is supportive of the annexation. Some of the key elements from the comprehensive plan that apply are found in an intergovernmental agreement that the city has with Polk County. We've addressed some of those criteria in the staff report. And then essentially, we want to make sure that there are public services nearby or that can be made available to serve future development on the property. So that's outlined in the staff report as well. Again, staff recommends approval based on those reasons mentioned above and our staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? Okay, so I'm moving forward. I'm going to assume that there are other communications that we need read for the record, Karen.
I have not received.
Thank you. Okay, since there are no questions by council, anybody who wishes to speak in favor, the applicant and others who wish to speak in favor, is there anybody here who wants to speak in favor? Please. Good evening, how are you, and welcome to council.
Thank you very much. My name is Julie Legs, the applicant and owner of the property, and I just want to say thank you for hearing this petition. I agree with the staff report, and thank you for all the work you did on that, Zach. I just wanted to also mention, I have some services are available. They would be accessed likely at the River Oak tie-in, and I did some due diligence and spoke with the Webbers, the adjoining or adjacent property owners, and had verbal agreements for easements, but wanted to make sure that we, exercise due care that it should be run on the south end of the property. I realize that's really an issue for public works, but I just want to make sure that that is, in front of us all. And that's really it. Thank you so much for hearing this petition.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, is there anybody else who wants to speak in favor? I see nobody rushing to the microphone. Is there anybody opposed who wishes to say anything? I see no one going to the microphone. So without that, I don't think that there's any, yes, sir?
I think you may have had one person wanting to speak in favor.
Oh, excuse me.
Just saying thumbs up. I'm not.
Step up, I'm sorry, I didn't see you stepping, I apologize.
No, my name is Michelle Lewis, live at 6440 Corvallis Road, and just pretty much adjacent to where that property will be, and as a county, in the county right now, I just really think that the quality of houses that have been built along there, I just think that this being in the city of Independence will really just be a huge asset, visual asset to Independence. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just have, are you to the north or?
I am actually just to the east, it would be northeast of that on the riverside of the road.
Okay, great. Now, did anybody have anything in opposition? I'm gonna guess there's not gonna be any rebuttal. I have to follow the script, it's a state mandated script. Okay, unless there's objections, I'm gonna close the hearing. Did anybody object? Okay, the hearing is now closed. What would we like to do? Is this okay with everybody? Make sense? Everybody? Yeah. Diana, you good? Yes. Okay, this is an action item, and I have to get to the, to our motions here, if I can. Excuse me, on page 45,
46.
45, then to 46. If somebody would like to suggest action, please.
I'll kick it off. I move to approve declaring territory annexed to the City of Independence and amending the comprehensive plan map and zoning map for tax lot 1802 of Polk County Assessor's Map 8S4W28D, stating an effective date of Thursday, September 13th, 2018, and to read the proposed ordinance Council Bill number 2018-02 in full as the text is contained in the council packet for the first time.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance declaring territory annexed to the City of Independence and amending the comprehensive plan, land use map, and zoning map for tax lot 1802, map 8S4W28D, and stating an effective date.
Okay, we have our second motion. Someone would carry, please.
I move to read the proposed ordinance, Council Bill number 2018-02 for the second time by title only.
Second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance declaring territory annexed to the City of Independence and amending the comprehensive plan, land use map, and zoning map for tax lot 1802, map 8S4W28D, and stating an effective date.
Okay, the third motion.
I move to adopt proposed ordinance Council Bill -2018-02.
Thank you.
There you go. Diane, here a second down there?
Second.
Second by Diana. I have a motion, second, for final passage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
The ordinance, the bill has passed and will be assigned ordinance number 1567.
Congratulations. Welcome to the city. Okay, our next item, let me get back to the agenda here. Mr. Irvine, I think you have on Riverview Master Park Plan.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is really just a continuation of what I discussed with you probably, I think it was a month ago or so. We presented the final design of the Riverview Park Master Plan. This is really just the opportunity to formally adopt that as part of the overall Parks and Open Space Master Plan. And the intention there is just to make sure that all the work we put into this and the design, there's already sort of a conceptual design in that plan. That sort of is what is currently eligible for system development charges and sort of our official plan for the park. This is an opportunity to take this new design that we've come up with, more refined design that's incorporated all the comment from the community, and kind of put that into the master plan and say this is a more detailed version of what we're looking for with Riverview Park. I think that's a pretty straightforward explanation, so if you have questions, I'm happy to answer it.
Questions from staff? Really appreciate it. We saw it a while back. This is the formalization of that. Someone would like to suggest action?
Looks like we didn't get that.
Resolution 55.
I move to adopt resolution 18-1486, adopting Riverview Park Master Plan for the City of Independence.
Have a motion? Second that. And a second. Now, on that end, I'll just say I'm excited about this plan. I think it's a great, it's a great part of which will work into our whole 2040 plan, you know, as we go forward in the coming year. I'm excited for what's happened. I really appreciated the broad spectrum of participation by so many that were in that, and I really do appreciate staff and the other folks that worked to make that happen. Additional comments? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Klein, I think you have the next item.
Your next item is the consideration of request to extend the lease on the boathouse, the Western's boathouse. Now, we've had that lease in place, license in place since 2003. The initial request for a 5-year extension, when I spoke with Darren about this, and said that given the plan that you just acted on, 5 years maybe, you know, if we're doing well, maybe interfering with our plans to update the Riverview Park. So we agreed 3 years is fine. We won't be, you know, it shouldn't be a problem within a 3-year horizon to, you know, to give them the license at the same time that the park work won't be completely underway at that point in time. There's still a pretty good fundraising effort that has to take place. So with that, I'd like to ask your approval to go ahead and enter into a 3-year extension of that lease.
Questions for staff? Are you okay with this? What do you want to make the motion?
I move to approve amendment number 3 to the license agreement number 2003-509-10, extending the term to 18 years from the original date of the lease.
Great, I have a motion. In a second. Discussion? Pretty straightforward. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have the next item also.
Okay, so next item, I don't have a cover memo other than the engineer's cover memo. So this is a request for a change order on Independence River from park work. Initially, this was not included in the bid work, one, because we didn't think we'd get as favorable a result as we did get, and two, because we were a little leery of letting this work out to the edge of Riverview Park, given that it might, at some point in time, be doing the work at Riverview Park. Given the timing between now and when Riverview Park is likely to get underway, we'd like to go ahead and ask you to finish this northerly extension of the trail so that the project, for all intents and purposes, looks complete. We think, you know, that the vast majority will survive any work that we get done at Riverview Park when the time comes. But at worst, there'll be some small amendments that, you know, to that existing trail system. But in the duration, you'll be able to access it directly from the current parking area rather than having to take the gravel path to the concrete path. This gives you more ADA accessibility all the way to the parking lot. And it's within, and I would add that it's all within the available resource from the grant and from the state legislative award. The total of that amount was $1.4 million. This brings the new total up to $1.38 million of this contract. So still have a few months to spare.
Additional questions for manager?
I just had a question about, you know, exactly, you're just extending the pathway out and then.
And landscaping in that area.
Landscaping, is any curbing or anything like that that's going on there?
No curbing in the water.
So
just extending the trail work out there.
That'll actually come up to the, I'm trying to visualize where it's actually coming up to.
So right now you have, so I wish I had the aerial on this, but
Yeah,
I thought it would be helpful. So you have two different trail segments going on. You have the upper boardwalk, which extends all the way up to connects with the sidewalk on C Street, works its way up. So that's on the upper level. That's on the level that's adjacent at the same level as the hotel is. Below you have a pathway that at this point in time comes up a little shy of the parking lot to the north and terminates right here, you know, up against the side of the building or just outside of the parking lot of the building, the new parking lot. So it continues on up to Main Street. So you can take it from Main Street now on the lower level where it will be flooded from time to time. Follow that, there'll be a couple different ways you can go, a couple interesting things. There'll be some gardens, some little forest grove, and a number of different things before when this thing is all completed. and then you'll take it to about, I forget how long the extension is, but probably 100 feet or so of the parking lot, and then all of a sudden you're on gravel. So the point here is, let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and complete it to the parking lot again, you know, so it's totally ADA accessible, and it's within the budget, and it's money that is not hourly, frankly. So
And it'll look a lot nicer.
it'll just look completely nicer, yeah.
So-
So, not a lot of reasons to say no to that, I think.
So would it be fair to say, this is just what was the timing, we were cautious in the front end, and now that the numbers came in well, we decided we can make sure that we can finish this within time, within budget, and it all works.
Yes to all of those.
Okay.
And I wanted to thank you, Mr. City Manager, for the very quick response you had given to my question about what was the balance of the first change order and how that fit in together. Excellent explanation.
Really piqued my interest with that question, so I got to dive into this and see what was going on, because I
Well,
just
thank
scratched
you.
my head,
It was
I don't remember how that worked.
It was extremely helpful, and I appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Additional questions? Okay, we have, how do I approve, all right, do we just make a motion to approve the change order?
Change order number 2.
Okay.
Is that
Go
okay?
change order number 2.
Okay, is that,
Yeah, I move to approve change order number 2.
somebody, have a second? Okay, discussion? Isn't this exciting, folks? This is just great, it's moving forward. I'm thrilled about this. Okay, does anybody have anything else they want to say?
Well, one
Please
question,
do.
when is it, when do we anticipate being completed?
We should have everything done, the deadline right now is October. We think we'll finish before then, we just have, Katie's not fully remobilized back, it's not a lot of work left to do. It's just, the hole in their schedule, they'll get it done.
Great. No additional questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Announcements?
Yes. I would disappoint you if I didn't have something.
Yes.
I wanted to share the content of The Independent, which is a local newspaper that is published here on a monthly basis. If I need to declare a conflict of interest, I will, because there's a really good article about Minnet in here. And I love that the author equates the partner that Minnet will be working with in Dallas to a fuzzy-eared rabbit. And I would encourage you all to read it to find out what that connection is. It also has a very pertinent letter to the editor on the insider editorial comment about choices that were made on the budget committee for the city. And I have 3 copies. One is down here. I'll send 2 that way, and you have to fight over them.
Additional comments? Okay, somebody's like to send this home? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Good night.